New Orleans Saints fans, I know you guys are going to hate me, man, but I think you guys are going to disappoint this year. I know. JT, we had a bunch of injuries last year on the offensive line. We had Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston at quarterback. Boo-hoo, cry me a river, man, because you know what? When Dennis Allen took over as the head coach for this team, it wasn't supposed to be a huge transition. That's why they made him the head coach and kept most of Sean Payton's coaching staff. It was supposed to be plug and fill. Y'all make all these excuses for Dennis Allen, injuries on the whole line, JT. Oh, we didn't have a good QB, but yet, tell me what Sean Payton did his final season in New Orleans. Did he win less than 7 games? Did he win only 8 or less? No, he didn't. What Sean Payton did his final season in New Orleans, he won 9 games with Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill, Ian Book, and Trevor Siemian, and Marquez Callaway being his best receiver in the passing game. If Sean Payton could have had that level of success, imagine what he could have done last season with the roster that New Orleans had. He had Jameis Winston balling. Pete Carmichael. I don't know what the hell happened to this guy's ability to call plays, but obviously with Sean Payton not being in the building, he's not the same play caller. And Dennis Allen, you Saints fans now have belief in this man when around week 10, week 11, you guys were making petitions to get this man fired. Yeah, there were Saints fans out there who made a petition and it had a good amount of signees out there for this man to lose his job. You're not going to be able to make it to the playoffs or have a lot of success if you don't have a good coach, despite how talented of a team you may have. It doesn't matter if you got a good team if you don't have good coaching. Bad coaching does not win games in the NFL despite having a talented team. This isn't college football. Dennis Allen has not been a good coach anywhere that he's been, and there aren't too many head coaches in the history of the NFL that have been bad their first couple of years being head coaches that just automatically all of a sudden just flip the switch. At this point, Dennis Allen is what he is. And you Saints fans can say, man, JT, man, he had all these injuries. So what? Injuries are a part of the NFL. Good coaches are able to win despite injuries. Once again, I'm going to remind you guys, just so I can get this point home, because I know you guys are going to use that as an excuse to defend this man in the comment section. But Sean Payton went 9-8 with Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill, Ian Book, and Trevor freaking Siemian, and Marquez Callaway being his number 1 wide receiver. If you would have gave Sean Payton the team that New Orleans had last year, do you guys not make it to the postseason? I strongly doubt it. Give Sean Payton a Chris Olave. Bring back Jameis Winston, who had the best touchdown to interception ratio in the league prior to his injury against Tampa Bay under Sean Payton's tutelage. They would have been a playoff team if they had Sean Payton last year. I get it. You got Derek Carr at QB. I love Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr is a really good quarterback. But the thing with Derek Carr is that if he's going to elevate into a top 10 QB and he's going to make the jump that Matthew Stafford did when he got traded from the Detroit Lions to the LA Rams, he's going to need good coaching. And do the Saints really have a coaching staff that any of you guys have a lot of confidence in? Like, be honest, bro. Every time I talk to a Saints fan, they talk about the talent. But every time I talk about Dennis Allen, it's just a sore subject that nobody really wants to get in depth about. JT, we just got a better team. Like, it sounds like Saints fans know that this man is going to hold them back. And he will. I think that New Orleans is going to disappoint. I've been seeing people making videos about how the Saints are the biggest sleeper team in the NFL, how they could end up being dark horse Super Bowl contenders. No, the hell they won't, fam. They will not contend for the Super Bowl. And I promise you that they probably won't even be amongst the top teams in the NFC this year. This team has a good amount of talent, but they don't have a good head coach. And you Saints fans can make all the explanations you want to about why Dennis Allen underachieved his first year And you can say, well, JT, we weren't expecting the Saints to make it to the playoffs last year. Stop the cap. Stop the BS, man. There were plenty of Saints fans last year who I talked to who told me 9 or at least 10 games last season, and that didn't happen. You can use injuries all you want to, but injuries are a part of the game. Good head coaches are able to find ways to win despite injuries. That's part of being a head coach. Every team deals with injuries. This man, Kyle Shanahan, went to the damn NFC Championship with the last pick of the NFL draft last year. Good coaches find ways to overcome limitations on their roster. That's part of being a head coach. You have to be able to make adjustments. And I don't think that Dennis Allen is great at making adjustments. I think that some guys are just meant to be good coordinators, and that's what I believe about Dennis Allen. I don't think the Saints are a playoff team this year, not because of the talent, but because of the coaching. And a lot of casual fans out there, when they judge a team, they only judge a team based on the talent that they have in their roster. And you can't judge a team just strictly based off talent. You have to judge a team based on coaching as well, because coaching ends up holding back talented football teams. You want to know why the Dallas Cowboys are going 8-8 all those years when they had a really good team? It was because of Jason Garrett. He wasn't a good head coach. Dennis Allen, this man is not a good head coach, man. Sean Payton went 9-8 with several different QBs. A lot of Saints news outlets and media platforms out there wanted this man fired at the end of the season. Did y'all not? And be honest. Be honest, man. I just want a little bit of transparency from you Saints fans, man. Put your bias aside and think about how frustrated you were at how last season went. You mean to tell me that you didn't want this man fired, and now all of a sudden you get Derek Carr and you think all your problems are solved? Derek Carr's a good QB, but he's not a great QB. This dude is not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Joe Burrow. He's not the kind of QB that's going to be able to elevate subpar coaching. I love Derek Carr. Derek Carr can have a good season. He could give you better quarterback play than what you have had in the past, but it's not going to matter because Dennis Allen may not be a good coach. I know you Saints fans are going to have a hard time digesting this because you want to be optimistic about your team. It's the off season. Everybody's excited about their teams, but you don't have a good head coach, and there aren't too many head coaches in the history of this league that have had a losing record, at least the one that Dennis Allen has up to this point, who all of a sudden have been able to turn it around. And please don't use Bill Belichick as an example, bruh. That's just an outlier. Stop going off outliers. Does Dennis Allen look like the kind of guy who can be an outlier to you? Well, JT, he's making the necessary changes. He's doing what needs to be done. Yes. But if you're not a good coach, you're just not a good coach. It just is what it is. There's only so much you can do. There's only so much better you can make your roster until you realize that this man isn't it. I know it's hard for you Saints fans to hear this, man. And if I end up being wrong about Dennis Allen, okay, I'll end up being wrong. But if Dennis Allen ends up getting the Saints to the playoffs, it would be an anomaly because you don't really see a head coach who has a losing record up to this point of him being the head coach who just all of a sudden just flips a switch and gets a team to the postseason. Even though this division is weak, you still have Frank Wright. Frank Wright is a way more proven head coach than Dennis Allen. Frank Wright has gotten the team to the postseason. Dennis Allen hasn't. This dude hasn't even posted a winning record as a head coach yet. He's been a head coach for how many years? Even last year, when I brought up my concerns about Dennis Allen, man, JT was just with a bad organization. Okay, that's your job as a head coach, to turn around the organization, to instill a winning culture. The Raiders made it to the postseason not too long ago with an interim head coach and Rich Bisaccia. You mean to tell me Dennis Allen couldn't do that? Didn't Jack Del Rio take the Las Vegas Raiders to the postseason one time? Jack Del Rio. We got to stop making excuses and stop trying to find ways to make guys look better than what they are. This man is not head coach material. I can go up right now and share my screen and find hundreds of Saints articles last season that wanted this man fired, and those same platforms just all of a sudden got faith in Dennis Allen because they got Derek Carr, dog? If you don't have a good coach, you're not going to go far in the NFL. This isn't college football where you just win games strictly off talent. The talent transparency in the NFL is not big. And if you don't have good coaching, you're not going to be able to go far. You want to know why the New York Giants were able to make it to the playoffs despite not having a talented team? It was because of Brian Daboll being a really good coach that season. If you don't have proper coaching, your players aren't going to be in a proper situation to succeed. Dennis Allen was really conservative at times. He mismanaged the quarterback situation. There's no reason why Andy Dalton should have been starting over Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston was a former number 1 overall pick. The upside was there. The potential was there. You weren't playing for anything, really. Andy Dalton didn't give you a better chance at winning, no less than what Jameis Winston did. Andy Dalton was even there throwing pick sixes. If there was going to be anybody who you should start at QB, who you're going to be willing to accept throwing pick sixes, it should have been Jameis Winston, not an aging veteran in Andy Dalton. Come on, man. Pete Carmichael. I thought this dude was a really good offensive coordinator. This dude did not look all that great last year. And you can use injuries all you want to, but every time you use your injury excuse or your injury argument against me, I'm going to come back with Sean Payton winning 9 games with 4 different quarterbacks and having Marquez Callaway as his number 1 wide receiver that year, man. I'm going to use it every time against you because that's what a good coach does. Dennis Allen is not a good coach. The Saints are going to disappoint. I'm seeing people talking about are the Saints any more than NFC South contenders? Hell no! Even if the Saints do make it to the postseason, these boys are going to go one and done. They're not well coached. Dennis Allen is not a good coach. He's a good coordinator. Some guys just aren't cut out to be head coaches. And if I end up being wrong, shoot, Dennis Allen will end up having an outlier kind of season because normally coaches up to this point in their careers, they are what they are. I'm not saying the Saints are going to disappoint because they don't have a talented team. They have a really good roster. But I don't think they have a good coach. You can say the division is weak all you want to, but it doesn't matter if you're playing a weak division if you don't have a coach who is at least able to take advantage of it. At least Bill O'Brien was able to take advantage of the NFC South for all the years that division was down. I don't think the Saints are going to be going anywhere this season, man. I think the Saints are going to disappoint this season, just like how they did last year. This team won 9 games with Sean Payton having several different QBs and one of the worst receiving cores in the NFL. Answer my question, Saints fans. If y'all had Sean Payton last season, would y'all have made the playoffs? And be honest. And that answer tells you everything you need to know about Dennis Allen. If this man was a good head coach, the Saints would have made it to the postseason last year. Even with the injuries they had, they still had a good enough roster to take advantage of an old aging quarterback in Tom Brady. And yet, the Carolina Panthers fired their coach midway through the season, and Steve Wilkes as an interim head coach has them boys having a shot at winning the division. And you mean to tell me Dennis Allen couldn't take advantage of that? But you have confidence now because Derek Carr has arrived on the scene that you're going to be able to have more success with this man as your head coach? This dude just isn't it as a head coach, man.